Hey everybody, Dr. Roy here from Just Desserts. I want to share with you a new application that I built that is pretty exciting. I wanted to share it with the world as I start to get it set up. This was done through Lovable AI with low code, no code options, also with APIs built into 11 Labs for uh, AI voice recognition to build out some personas that I'm about to describe. So this website that I created was basically a dissertation defense simulator or mock simulator that doctoral students can use. I'm going to share it on the screen here in just a second and go through a real quick demonstration of how it works. So essentially, you have the ability to upload your dissertation, which I'm doing now in the background. And it's going to take about 60 seconds, but essentially, I'll walk through what happens as this loads up. You have your mock defense, inclusive of your advisor. It's a persona that I've created. Also, a methodologist, so a committee member that is an expert in methodologies of dissertations, whether they're quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods. Dr. Chen is an authority on all things related to questions about your methods in your dissertation. So you'll see some of the questions that she brings up in just a few minutes. Your advisor closest to your research might be your biggest fan of the committee members from a persona standpoint. And then lastly, a committee member that maybe has been on the periphery of your dissertation from the beginning, maybe comes from a different department, but still asks intelligent questions that are specifically fed from your dissertation. So that's the main thing here is that this is not just a generic comp exam kind of defense or question and answer session. This is an actual committee of three team members reading your dissertation, powered via AI, and having an interactive discussion with you. So you'll see here as it loads in just a minute that Dr. Chen begins speaking with her first question, but you'll see questions have already been posed from Dr. Chen as well as Dr. Okafor and Dr. Vasquez, the three personas and team members on your dissertation.
Sean, I want to begin by complimenting your rigorous approach to the participant selection criteria, particularly your decision to narrow the scope to mid and large-sized software organizations to ensure a level of organizational complexity. However, given that your data relies on the leader's perceptions of their employees' motivation, how did you account for potential social desirability bias in their responses? Furthermore, how do you justify the validity of these findings regarding employee intrinsic states when the primary data source is the supervisor's external observation rather than the employees themselves?
Very good question from Dr. Chen. Again, specifically related to Chapter 3, the methodology, maybe some of the limitations or delimitations involved in the research. Let's take a look at the question from Dr. Okafor.
Project evolved, and I think you've captured a very timely snapshot of the changing American workplace. As we look at your findings regarding autonomy and risk-taking, how do you see your work reshaping our traditional theoretical understanding of empowerment, which was largely built on face-to-face interactions? In other words, what is the most significant way virtuality changes the nexus between a leader's influence and a subordinate's internal drive?
Great question from Dr. Okafor. And then let's take a look at the question from Dr. Vasquez.
Found your exploration of the COVID-19 pandemic as an accelerant for these leadership shifts to be quite fascinating and culturally relevant. That said, as someone who looks at organizational systems from a broader lens, I wonder if the empowerment strategies you identified are truly unique to the virtual environment, or if they are simply effective leadership traits that have finally become mandatory due to the lack of physical oversight. Can you clearly delineate what about your findings is inherently virtual versus what is simply a byproduct of the software industry's existing high trust culture?
Great questions from all three. So you have the ability here in this application to respond to any of the three questions that have been posed. You have the ability to ask questions via the microphone, built-in microphone to hold and speak, or type question answers back. So let's maybe just create a sample response back to Dr. Okafor and see how he responds. So again, just looking at his questions again, He talked about autonomy and risk taking. How do you see work reshaping our traditional theoretical understanding of empowerment, which was largely built on face to face? So, again, pre COVID-19 models where people work in predominantly office environments. So, what's the most significant way virtuality changes the nexus between a leader's influence and a subordinate's internal drive? And let's just say, I'll type this out, but we can also use the voice. Art Okafor, great comments and question. I conducted this study because office workplace environments were predominantly face to face prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. I was interested to hear about the lived experiences from my participants about whether and how virtuality changes the dynamic related to autonomy and risk taking, or whether it's simply an extension of what we have come to know from face to face leadership and followership. Let's see how he responds.
Sean, I appreciate the candor in your response and your focus on the lived experiences of these leaders, which provides a rich narrative layer to the study. However, from a methodological
So you'll see here I made a mistake, right, in responding to Dr. Chen. She's actually responded to Okafor's comments, but let's give Dr. Okafor an opportunity to respond to the same answer that I've given Dr. Chen.
I appreciate that perspective, Sean, and it's a vital distinction to make as we bridge the gap between historical models and our current reality. If we lean into your observation that this might be an extension of face-to-face dynamics, I wonder if the distance in virtuality actually serves as a catalyst that forces a more formalized structure of trust. From a theoretical standpoint, does the virtual medium require a leader to relinquish control more deeply than in person, or does it simply make the traditional leap of faith required for empowerment more visible to the researcher?
So we'll say, Dr. Okafor, another great comment. Perhaps that would be a great future study for a different researcher to further analyze or to analyze, right? Well, prevents, but infinitives.
I hear you, Sean, and while identifying future research is part of the process, I'd like to push you to stake a claim on this yourself based on the data you've already collected. In your interviews, did the leaders describe this handover of control as a deliberate structural choice necessitated by the software, or did it feel like a more organic shift in their personal leadership philosophy? I'm interested in whether you believe the virtual element is a tool that facilitates empowerment, or if it is the very thing that makes the traditional command and control model impossible to maintain.
So this is fantastic, right? So he, being my biggest fan via the persona and being my advisor, he wasn't in love with my short response back to him, and he is again pushing me as the researcher, having written this dissertation, to really stake a claim based on the data that I analyzed, that I had transcribed, and that I coded through my process. So again, these will just go really to infinity, just perpetually ask questions of you, going down these different rabbit trails that have been created by each of the threads, the talking threads of each of the personas. So I hope this gives you a good sample what you can do with this dissertation defense in a mock environment, and hopefully helps you as a doctoral student prepare perhaps for your dissertation. So good luck. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to reach out. And I'd love it if you'd go up to the Just Desserts link here, click there. You'll see I have lots of YouTube shorts and also YouTube long form videos, uh, everything dealing with dissertations and the doctoral program. So please go ahead and take a look. Thanks.